Could changes be on the horizon for this Baltimore Ravens offense when talking about the involvement of Diontae Johnson? Todd Monken's talking about it, Jeremy Fowler's talking about it, and we're talking about it right here on Ravens Rundown. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I've got to share some insider information with you guys before we get going. The bosses are debating canceling Pittsburgh's channel, okay? Let's put them over the top. Like the video if you think it's a good idea. Go ahead and just use that like button as a voting method, okay? So if you want Steelers talk gone, abolished, out of here in the chat sports universe, go ahead and like the video. Is it time to get Deontay Johnson more involved in this offense, okay? This has kind of been a question since he came onto the team, acquired him right before the NFL trade deadline, about a week before from the Carolina Panthers, and his involvement has been here and there, right? We'll get into the stats in just a little bit, but this is what Jeremy Fowler had to say on the matter. Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken basically acknowledged last week that they're having a tough time finding ways to involve Johnson in the offense. The sense I got was that they considered him too good a player to pass up the price that Carolina was asking, and that he offered them a chance to use 3 receiver sets more than they usually do. So let's talk about Johnson so far in this offense, because it's been not great. Really not anything if you look at it. 3 games played, 4 targets, only 1 reception, and 6 yards in total. So before we dive into it just a little bit deeper, I got a question for you guys. Should the Ravens offense get Diontae Johnson more involved? Should Todd Monken go through the effort of kind of changing up the schemes and getting him more involved in this offense and in this passing attack? If you think yes, give me a Y down below. And if you think no, go ahead and give me an N. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break, and this is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So when that ad break comes, take advantage of it by replying yes or no. So, Jeremy Fowler mentioned it in that article, or in that little snippet from the article. The Ravens really do not use 3 receiver sets often, okay? When you look at the 2 formations with receiver sets, one to your left, trips to your right, and single to your right, and trips to your left, they run them at a very low rate compared to the rest of the league. Trips right, 18.5% of the time. That's 22nd in the league. Trips left, 15.6% of snaps. That is 20th in the league. But if you take a little bit deeper dive, you can see that they have a lot of success when running this, okay? So when they run trips right, they have a 1.68 EPA, which is expected points added. So basically, every time they're running trips right, the points that are expected to be added to the final total is 1.68. That's 5th best in the league. Trips left, 0.31. That's 3rd best in the league, okay? So the question is, you brought Deontay Johnson in, okay? You added him to this receiving core that already had Zay Flowers, already had Rashad Bateman. I think his addition eventually will kind of lessen the snaps of Nelson Aguilar. So the question really is, what is the plan with Diontae Johnson, okay? Did they just add him in, like Fowler said, just to be an extra veteran piece in case something bad happens to a guy like Zay Flowers or a guy like Rashad Bateman? Or do they have a plan to use him in this offense? Todd Monken spoke about this just last week. He was asked about Diontae Johnson, and he said, we're going to continue to try and find ways to get him on the field, but we haven't really lost anybody. We're doing pretty good with the guys we've got. So when you hear that, the alarm bells kind of start going off, and you're thinking, okay, maybe the plan isn't to make him a key piece of this offense. Maybe they are just adding him as a kind of a backup option. Because Monken said right there, we're doing pretty good with the guys that we've got. And Jeremy Fowler speaks a little bit more into this. He said that's not really the way their offense is set up. And unless the Ravens are planning a major midseason scheme change, Johnson might just be veteran insurance policy in case something happens to top wideout Zay Flowers. This just might be a case of a team just deciding you can never have too many playmakers. And I think that changes Monday, okay? I really do, okay? That might be the thought right now. When you see the fact that he's only got 1 reception for 6 yards and only has been targeted, 4 times in the 3 games he's played, you might be thinking, okay? I can see why Jeremy Fowler thinks that, but I think that's going to change this upcoming Monday night against the Los Angeles Chargers. Because when you look at how this team does when running trips right, they only run it 22% of the time, yet they have the 5th best expected points added. When you look at the amount of times that teams run trips right against the Chargers defense, 22.2% of the time, that's 5th most. and their expected points added is third worst, okay? So that's just a little bit of a snippet of why I think we might see a little bit more Diontae Johnson against Los Angeles. But coming up in just a little while is why I think this is going to be his time to break out, okay? I really think it's coming Monday, so stick around to hear why. Before I tell you that, I got to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is our friends over at Ollie. We're talking about dogs like Deontay Johnson, Lamar Jackson. Now it's time to talk about dogs in the literal sense, because right now Ollie is offering a fantastic deal to let your pup taste test a personalized meal plan. Get 60% off your first box of meals when you use promo code ChatSports at Ollie.com. And 5 flavors they'll absolutely love. You don't have to be a vet to know that feeding your dog real, whole foods with minimal processing is one of the best choices you can make for their health. A perfectly portioned whole fresh food diet has been proven to extend your pup's life by 2.5 years. And who doesn't want more time with their best friend? Fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz, and they'll create a customized meal plan. For any first-timers, Ollie will send out your pup's first box with 2 weeks' worth of meals and a guide on how to gradually switch them over to the new diet. And Ollie offers 3 meal plans to choose from, so you can choose between a full fresh plan, fresh chopper plan, or a mixed plan with their freshly baked recipes. And guys, my wife and I, we always had some troubles getting our dog applesauce to eat her food, okay? She would eat some in the morning, but really not even finish her breakfast until like 8 p.m., and then she's eating dinner until like 11 and doesn't really finish that. But since we switched her over to Ollie, guys, it is insane the change that we've seen in her diet and her eating habits. She absolutely crushes it. It's the best part of her day, and seeing the smile on her face as she's eating it, it's the best part of our day as well. So that is why you guys should try Ollie to get your dogs to love it just as much as mine does. So head to Ollie.com, tell them about your dog, and use Chat Sports, and you'll get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Head to OLLIE.com and enter code ChatSports to get 60% off your first box. They offer a clean bowl guarantee on their first box, so if you're not completely satisfied, you can get your money back. Again, that's OLLIE.com and enter code ChatSports to get 60% off your first box. And if you're not completely satisfied, again, you can get your money back. Alrighty, if you guys are looking for a place to be, and if you're a Ravens fan right here on YouTube, you found it. I can promise you that. We got nonstop Ravens videos all year long, and the best part about it, it's free, okay? It's easy to cover this team during the football season. There's things to talk about. I can make 7 videos a day if I wanted to. But what's hard is to do it in March. I guess not because of the draft, but to do it in May, June, July. And I'm here in May, June, and July. So hit that sub button and join me. All right, the Chargers defense, in my opinion, they play exactly into Lamar's strengths. So you should expect a big game from him, and that's why I think you might expect a big game from a guy like Diontae Johnson, because he's coming off a game against Pittsburgh, that is Lamar, where he had his worst game of the year, okay? 48.5% completion percentage, only 207 yards. He threw an interception. He also had a 66.1 passer rating. And Pittsburgh, if you look more into like the deep stats of how they played against Lamar, they ran cover 1 on 38.5% snaps. That's a really large margin to play a single coverage against a guy like Lamar Jackson. And Lamar has kind of tended to struggle when he's facing teams that run a lot of cover 1, okay? So if you look at the 4 teams who've ran it the most this year against the Ravens, Steelers at 38.5, the Browns at 28.6, the Commanders at 48.7, the Raiders at 29.3. First off, your record in those 4 games are 1-3. And he had, out of 4 of the 5 of his lowest passer rating games, those 4 teams are on there, okay? He only had 1 passer rating that was in kind of in the same amount of low vicinity as those 4 opponents, okay? So how are the Los Angeles Chargers different? And why do you expect such a big bounce back game? Well, first, they run cover 1 10.4% of the time. That is 29th in the NFL. That is 4th lowest, okay? And they run cover 4 26.2% of the time, which is the highest in the NFL. And against cover 4, Lamar Jackson has a 116.9% passer rating, or not percent, 116.9 passer rating. That's 3rd highest in the NFL. And he also has a .36 expected points added per drop back per dropback, which is 4th highest in the NFL. So if you're looking at all these statistics and you're seeing how the Chargers defense runs against how Lamar and this offense runs, you can expect a big game from Lamar passing the football on Monday. I truly believe that. And because of that, and because now it is his, 3rd, 4th week with the team, I think this is the game, if there was going to be one, where you can expect a breakout performance in Deontay Johnson. So I think this team runs more trips. I think that's how this offense changes. And I think Deontay Johnson gets more targets, more receptions, and more yards because of it, okay? Let's talk yards for Deontay Johnson. I got a little over-under for you. 29.5. Would you go over or would you go under? He's right now, if you're adding his time in Carolina and his time in Baltimore, he's just averaging right at about 30 yards a game. If I said it 29.5, do you think he hits it? If you think so, give me an O for over, and if you think not, give me a U for under. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate it. If you want to do me a favor and go on and hit that subscribe button, it's blinking right down below. It wants you to touch it. This is the fastest growing individually owned Ravens channel right here on YouTube. So if you haven't already, make sure to join the over 22,000 people we've got here on the flock and hit that sub button.